Late night adventures, CO2 mounted. Woohoo!
There we go. You ready, Dave? Holy shit.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Look for my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dumb it.
Late night adventures of David Van Vorst and the Grinder. So, just to catch you guys up real quick, I'll explain this later, but I'm having to cut my tie rod ends. Oh, this car is making me mad. So, just taking a good old grinder, and because that's all I got, and we're going to cut these tie rod ends. Wish me luck. If you're wondering what the piece of tape for is, that's just to help me cut a decently straight line. Actually, didn't cut too bad, so I'm going to weigh these because, you know, we're all about weight savings here. Just kidding. So I cut both tie rod ends. And like I said, I'll explain it to you guys here in just a second. Alright guys, so I showed you last night kind of what I was doing. Now the reason I had to cut the tie rod ends is actually because this manual steering rack is a little bit longer than the 2018 steering rack. So keep that in mind if you guys ever want to do this. But the ends are a little bit longer. So if you didn't watch my other videos, you can't use the stock tie rod ends. They're not the right size. So I had to get S197 tie rod ends, 05 to 14, and then they're actually too long. There's not enough adjustment. So I had to cut, I think I cut about 1 inch to 1.5 inches off. Let's see if I have it here. There we go. So I cut about 1 inch to 1.5 inches off on each side, and now you can see, obviously the car needs alignment, but now you can see we've got the tires actually straight. So the reason why I had the measuring tape out and the pieces of wood is I was just trying to get the car just to make sure I had enough adjustment. Obviously I need an alignment. It's from the back of the tire to the front. You can measure the difference to set the toe, and there's a 5/8 inch difference from the back to the front. So I'm within, you know, like the car, I can drive it to the alignment shop like this. I'm not too worried about it. So you really, with these cars, they say you want 0 to 1/8 inch of toe in. BMR actually recommends 0 toe. So we'll get it to the alignment shop. I have an appointment on Friday, but I did order a bump steer kit just in case the tie rod, the cutting of the tie rods didn't actually work, which, like I said, it works for now, but I already ordered the bump steer kit, so I'll definitely throw that on. I'm hoping it comes in before the alignment appointment on Friday. If not, we'll just run the car like it is. We'll get the alignment with the chopped tie rod ends, and we'll put the bump steer kit on next week, and then we'll get an alignment after that. But at least it's drivable, it's within spec. Obviously, like I said, I need alignment, but if you would have seen the car before, this wheel was like perfectly straight, and then this wheel was towed like probably 1 inch, 1.5 inches out to the left because it had run out of adjustment. So just if you guys are looking at doing this, just some info for you. So anyways, that's taken care of. That's as much as I can do for now. We'll get the alignment, like I said, on Friday, and then we'll install the bump steer kit if it comes in time. The next thing I need to take care of is actually mounting this CO2 bottle. So MOTIONRACEWORKS actually provides you with a super nice mounting kit if you have a roll cage or a roll bar. So I'll kind of show you guys what I got going on here, but it's got an attachment at the bottom. I took it off already. But even if you had like a harness bar across the back, you can mount it to the harness bar. You can mount it to your roll cage, which is what I'll end up doing once we actually get the roll cage in. But for the time being, and this is for people that maybe want to run CO2 but don't have a car fast enough for a roll cage, remember, you can run CO2 with any turboed car, and it really helps out with the boost. But I need a roll cage. We just don't have it in the car yet. I'm working on getting that. But for the meantime, I do need to mount the CO2. So what I'm actually going to do is, like I said, I took the base off of this. There's a base that makes it hook around the roll bar, roll cage. And so I'm actually just going to mount this. Now, I don't recommend this, but if you need to do it this way, I'm actually going to mount this to the floor, and then I'm going to drill 2 holes from the bottom of the car through the floor, and then we'll screw it in from the bottom, and I'll put some lock washers and a bolt through it. And that should hold it for the meantime. Now, there's a couple other ways you could do it. Since I come from the Jeep world, you could they have like power tanks, because everyone uses onboard air in the Jeep world to obviously air up and air down their tires. They make a bracket that holds a 2.5 pound CO2 bottle that you can actually mount to the car somewhere. But I figured this will work for now. like I said, I'm just going to drill 2 holes from the bottom of the car to line up with this flat base, and that way it'll have a nice flat surface. And then, like I said, I'll put a bolt from the bottom with some lock washers. So I'm going to do it on that side, and the reason why is that way when I'm in the seat, it's really hard to move once you're strapped in. So you want to be able to, within reach, turn the CO2 on, because you only want the CO2 on when you're actually going to use it. So I'll show you guys where I'm going to mount it, but I'm going to have the CO2 bottle facing me, and there will be the pressure gauge, and then I'll be able to see the pressure gauge, and then I'll be able to turn the bottle on. So like I said, we're gonna mount it right behind that passenger seat as close as I can this way. That way when I'm in the seat strapped in, I can actually reach the CO2 bottle and turn it on. All right guys, so I got the CO2 mounted. So I just put it right there. I actually opened the bottle, just trying to check if there's any pressure leaks right now. Everything so far looks good. So I'm gonna say that the tank is good to go where it is for now. I left the line super long back there because obviously I'm gonna move the bottle again and I don't wanna have to buy new lines. So I just zip tied up some of the extra line back there, but I'll show you guys once again. Like I said, it's not the best mounting solution, but it's pretty sturdy and it should work for now. Okay, so if you guys have been around for the build for a little bit, you know that the transpan gasket was leaking a while back. Well, Joe and I fixed that, and the car was leaking last time I went to the track, but I thought it was the line, so I tightened one of the clamps on the lines. I need to redo all the lines actually, and do some nicer and fittings down there, but because it has like some push lock hose, which isn't the best. But anyways, I did that. The car is still leaking when I got home, so I checked it the other night because I ran the car for a little bit just to make sure everything worked, and it was leaking like crazy. It was leaking all over the place. So it actually ended up being, holy shoot, look who it is.
Let's go train the demon.
Oh gosh. So it actually ended up being one of the fittings was loose. So I tightened that fitting down. So now I gotta run the car, check the transmission fluid, and probably just top it off. All right, so we gotta go over here and pull our handy dandy. Woohoo! Ugh. I guess I never showed you guys the little clutch button. I showed you, but I didn't actually turn the car on. So anyways, that's where it is. You can see it better. I think it was kind of dark, but get the car started here. Third time's the charm. Okay, I lied. Fourth time, my bad. Okay, 5th time. Man, it just does not want to stay started. So if you guys want the most accurate reading, you want to check the trans fluid when the car is running, and you also want to run the car through the gears. So that's why I've always got the car typically on jack stands for this reason, so I can just run the car, run it through the gears, because or else you'd have to like drive out, go through the gears, bring the car back, get it level. So that's why it's always good to have the car on jack stands, and this is why my friends always think my car's on jack stands, which it is, but I try and get it out when I can. So guys, after weeks being on jack stands, the car is finally gonna come down. I'm gonna bring the car down, retorque the front wheels. We'll check the back wheels, obviously. I need to go through everything, but I'm gonna drive the car over to Joe's tonight, and I'll see you guys over there because we're gonna start messing with the boost controller. And then once we get the car back, and then everything's kind of settled, because if you guys remember, I had the whole entire front off, I had the K-member off, almost all the suspension off, obviously the wheels, and obviously I changed the steering rack. So everything's pretty tight. Like I said, I'm gonna double check the wheels before I start driving it over to Joe's, but then that way we can drive the car around, let everything get settled, and then retorque everything down. And then, like I said, on Friday we have an alignment scheduled, but I will see you guys over at Joe's later tonight. Alright guys, so we are headed over to Joe's. So obviously the only thing that sucks about not having the steering controls is I can't hit OK on all these stupid things and get them out of there. So that's the only kind of annoying thing. Other than that, everything else drives the same. Obviously it's manual steering, so you gotta crank on it to turn it, but you know, it's not too bad. You get used to it, I think. So obviously I can't really get on the car on the way over there because I just don't know like what everything's set at with the boost controller. So we're just gonna kind of cruise over there, and then maybe once we get to Joe's, we'll be able to play with it a little bit. Maybe we'll be able to at least get on the trans brake and two-step, but probably won't be making any hits because obviously I need an alignment pretty badly, as you can see. But goal is just to get the boost figured out, get all the settings set up. That way on Saturday, I don't have to play with it very much. Kind of everything's already in there. If I need to change like the launch PSI, that's pretty easy. But that way I don't have to change any of the ramps or anything like that. So you guys just enjoy the cruise, and we'll see you over at Joe's.
Turn it on.
Wait,
Yeah, 'cause the only problem is you can't change anything while it's on.
yeah.
So you're gonna have to hook it up to some sort of switch. Okay, here we go. You ready, Dave?
I guess.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Why did you have that on?
It's on 10.
That's
Did
more
it feel
than
like
10.
more?
That's more than 10.
Well, that's not 10 pounds.
Oh, 10 on top of
10 on top of wasted.
which is probably 5. Yeah, that was a lot.
Lost my screwdriver. So in theory, that was 15 pounds.
Probably, yeah.
Close to.
Yeah, hell no.
You gotta get a boost gauge, Dave.
I don't know why that thing doesn't work.
And yeah, that wasn't showing. You need it. So
didn't show
you can
anything.
buy one of their sensors. You need to buy one of their sensors because then you can hook it up to the map side, like your manifold, and it'll show you live boost right here.
All right, Dave's looking right now to buy one.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dumb it.